The reality you're living in isn't yours. It was designed for you long before you knew how to question it, crafted by hidden hands, reinforced by systems you were told to trust. School, religion, media, even your own family traditions. A life built not on truth, but on obedience. But what if the most powerful knowledge on earth, knowledge capable of changing your entire life, has been hidden from you, not lost, buried, not forgotten, guarded, because it holds the power to awaken your mind, unlock your inner design, and shatter the illusion you've lived in since the moment you were born. Throughout history, certain individuals stumbled upon fragments of this truth. Ancient scrolls, forbidden symbols, visions they couldn't explain. Because once they glimpsed the real, the lie could never hold them again. Their lives weren't just changed, they were decoded. Some were silenced, some ridiculed, but a few, they woke up and broke free. Today, the same energy that awakened them is rising again. All around you, the illusion is cracking, the narrative is trembling, and for the first time in centuries, the veil is thinning. This isn't just information, it's an invitation, a threshold. You're standing at the edge of a forgotten truth that's lived inside you all along. But before we go any further, you must answer one question. Are you truly ready to see something so profound, so life-altering, that once seen, it can never be unseen? Because what comes next won't comfort you. It won't validate what you've been told, but it will liberate you. And if you're still listening, it means part of you already knows the world you see is only the surface. And now, it's time to peel it back, layer by layer, until we reach the source. From the moment you were born, you were placed inside a system, not one of your choosing, but one that chose for you. It told you what success meant, what to believe, what was possible, and what was not. This system doesn't operate through chains or cages. It operates through ideas, through stories repeated so often. They become invisible truths. We call it reality. But in truth, it's a carefully curated illusion, a construct meticulously designed to shape how you think, feel, and live. School didn't teach you to think. It trained you to obey, to memorize, conform, and repeat. Creativity discouraged, intuition ignored, questioning punished. Religion told you that truth comes from outside you, that you're broken, fallen, dependent on intermediaries. It gave you guilt, fear, and hierarchy. Instead of inner connection, media filled your mind with constant noise, not to inform, but to distract, divide, and sedate. Fear became your background music. Distraction, your default state. Even family, with the best of intentions, passed down inherited fears, rules based on survival, not liberation. These systems aren't random. Together, they form what some call the Matrix. But that's not science fiction. It's a sociological reality. Everything you see, media, education, even cultural rituals, has been filtered through layers of institutional conditioning, not to empower you, but to contain you. What we're dealing with here is not just misinformation, but a more dangerous concept: Thought prisons. A thought prison doesn't need walls. It works by convincing you there's nothing outside, that the limits around you are natural, permanent, and necessary. But they're not. In Plato's cave, prisoners mistake shadows on a wall for reality, because it's all they've ever known. When one prisoner escapes and sees the real world, he returns not to applause, but to hostility, because truth threatens comfort. And the same is true today. Modern philosopher Yuval Noah Harari reminds us, humans think in stories, not facts. And the simpler the story, the more powerful it becomes. The system survives not because it's true, but because the story is simple enough to be believed and repeated without resistance. Get a degree. Get a job. Retire at 65. Trust the experts. Follow the rules. Don't ask too many questions. You were programmed to be predictable, not powerful, because power disrupts. A truly awakened individual isn't easy to manage. They don't follow orders. They think independently. They create their own story, one that cannot be commodified or controlled. And that is exactly what the system fears. But the most dangerous part of this illusion is not the system itself. It's how deeply it convinces you that you are the system, that your identity is your job title, that your worth is your productivity, that your safety lies in compliance. This is the real virus. The infection of self-doubt, learned helplessness, and silent resignation. But what if none of it is real? What if your life isn't confined by external limits, but by the stories you were given about what's possible? Because that's where the illusion has done its greatest damage. Not to your body, not to your wallet, but to your imagination, the seat of your vision, your power, your purpose. And here's the truth. A system designed to keep you small will never show you how big you really are. That's why they don't teach you to observe your thoughts, to question the narrative, to trust your inner knowing. Because once you do, the construct begins to crumble. And when it does, one thing becomes undeniable. You were never meant to follow. You were born to awaken. Transition, calm but charged. But why build such a system at all? Why pour so much energy into crafting this illusion? Because behind every lie, there's a truth so powerful, so liberating, that if you discovered it, you'd never need the system again. And that truth is the divine power already living inside you. Let's uncover it. If the illusion around you is built to suppress something, the question becomes, what exactly are they trying to suppress? The answer, according to ancient wisdom, hidden in sacred texts long buried, is the divine spark within you. This isn't a metaphor. It's a metaphysical truth that once formed the core of spiritual traditions before dogma took their place. In the Gnostic texts, discovered in 1945 near Nag Hammadi, Egypt, a radically different picture of humanity emerges, not as broken sinners, but as fragments of divine consciousness. You are not a byproduct of biology. You are not a mistake of evolution. You are a vessel carrying a spark of the same force that created galaxies. The Gospel of Thomas says, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. These words are not poetry. They're a warning and an invitation. Because that spark dormant in most Awakened in few is the very essence of your power to shape reality. Modern science now hints at what these mystics knew intuitively. Your thoughts influence your body. Your intentions shape outcomes, and your beliefs become self-fulfilling scripts. Whether you're aware of them or not, this is not wishful thinking. It's observable neuroplasticity. It's the placebo effect. It's quantum resonance. But long before science could measure it, the mystics understood it. Lao Tzu called it the Tao, the formless source of all things, from which you are never separate, only distracted. In early Buddhism, the Chantam, or true mind, is the original awareness beneath conditioning. It is pure. It is whole. It is not born, and it cannot die. In Gnostic language, this same core is the divine light, the immortal essence obscured by the archons, or false rulers of this world. So ask yourself, if you are truly a fragment of the creative intelligence of the cosmos, why do you live like you're insignificant? Why do you follow rules made by men who've never met your soul, who told you your dreams were unrealistic, who convinced you to shrink your potential to fit someone else's story? This isn't spirituality for escapists. This is spiritual responsibility. Because once you realize that your thoughts, emotions, and intentions shape your field of experience, you can no longer blame the world for your suffering. You must reclaim authorship. The divine spark is not something you earn. It's something you remember. It has always been there beneath the noise, the fear, the programming. Every glimpse of intuition, every inexplicable moment of inner knowing, every time you felt something greater guiding you, that was it. Whispering. And here's the great secret. Your purpose is not to worship something external, it's to awaken what's internal. To bring forth the divine into form through you. Because you are not separate from the source. You are a living extension of it. Not someday. Not after you're perfect. Right now. So when these systems, governments, empires, religions built the illusion, they didn't just hide information. They buried your identity, but not deeply enough. Because here you are, listening, awakening, remembering. And what makes this more explosive than anything else is that this knowledge has never been lost. It's been preserved in sacred texts, ancient teachings, and quiet awakenings, just hidden from you, in places you were never taught to look. Let's look there now. In 1945, something extraordinary was unearthed, but the world barely noticed. Near the Egyptian town of Nag Hammadi, a sealed clay jar was discovered by accident. Inside it, 13 leather-bound codices containing over 50 ancient texts, preserved for over 1,600 years. But these were no ordinary writings. They were Gnostic scriptures, teachings lost to time, and deliberately kept out of the religious canon. Their message divinity isn't something external to be worshipped, but an inner force to be realized. Salvation doesn't come from obedience, but from gnosis, direct knowing. These texts didn't challenge religious dogma, they dismantled it. The Gospel of Thomas proclaims, "The kingdom of God is within you and all around you. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me. No temples, no gatekeepers, just divine presence everywhere." The Gospel of Mary presents Mary Magdalene, not as a repentant sinner, but as a spiritual master, one who receives visions directly from higher realms, challenging even the apostles. And in Pistis Sophia, the soul's journey is not about sin and punishment, but about transcending the forces that distort consciousness. So why weren't these teachings part of your education? Why were they buried sometimes, literally? The answer lies in history. In 325 A.D., the Council of Nicaea convened under Roman Emperor Constantine. It was not a spiritual gathering, it was political. Its goal, to standardize doctrine, consolidate power, and silence dissent. Gospels that encouraged personal awakening were labeled heresy. Sacred texts were burned. Mystics were exiled or executed. What remained was a version of spirituality tailored for empire with an external god. A strict hierarchy and guilt as a governing force. Gnosis was replaced with obedience. Mysticism with dogma. Truth with authority. But this wasn't a war on theology. It was a war on inner sovereignty. A war on direct connection between the human soul and the divine source. And that war didn't end. It evolved. Today, suppression wears a different mask. It looks like algorithmic censorship, quiet academic, dismissal, and the slow erasure of ancient wisdom from collective memory. Mystical knowledge is labeled irrational. Sacred traditions are branded irrelevant. And those who question official narratives are dismissed as fringe or dangerous. But ask yourself, why go to such lengths to suppress something if it didn't carry power? They don't erase what's meaningless. They erase what liberates. These forbidden texts didn't spark rebellion. They whispered remembrance of self, of sovereignty, of the source. They called for remembrance. And that's what makes them dangerous to any system built on control. Because when you remember that the divine lives within you, you no longer need permission to awaken. You reclaim authorship of your soul. That's why these teachings were hidden, not because they were wrong, but because they were too right, too empowering, too direct, too liberating. They dismantle the illusion that you are powerless. They reveal that awakening isn't something you chase, it's your natural state, obscured only by conditioning. And now, these scrolls have resurfaced. Their knowledge is here, alive, and it's stirring something deep within you. Because when you understand why this wisdom was erased, you realize it was never about danger. It was about freedom. And the first thing it awakens is your mind. Let's keep going. What if the most powerful force shaping your life wasn't something outside of you, but something within, not your environment, not your genetics, not your past, but your mind? We're taught that thoughts are fleeting, private, harmless. But ancient mystics, and now modern science, say otherwise. Your thoughts are not passive. They're not background noise. They are creative forces, constantly instructing the world around you how to respond. In physics, the observer effect proves that simply observing a particle can alter its behavior. In medicine, the placebo effect shows that belief alone can activate healing without drugs, without surgery. Belief isn't just mental. It's biological. It changes hormones, brain chemistry, and even gene expression. So if belief can heal the body, what else can your consciousness do? This is where ancient wisdom meets quantum understanding. Your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions, they aren't passengers. They're in the driver's seat. Every thought sends an electrical signal. Every emotion emits a magnetic field. Together, they create a vibrational frequency that speaks directly to the quantum field, the invisible matrix of energy that connects everything. You're not just observing life, you're shaping it moment by moment from the inside out. But here's the key. It's not thought alone that creates change. It's thought fused with emotion, intention powered by feeling. Dr. Joe Dispenza, a leader in consciousness research, has shown that during deep meditation, especially when the brain enters gamma wave states, the body begins to believe the mind's vision. Heart rhythms become coherent. Cells respond as if the imagined future is real. These aren't fantasies. They're neurological rehearsals, and they work. This is manifestation at the intersection of biology and energy, and it's not new. In Tibetan Vajrayana Buddhism, monks have practiced this for centuries. They don't visualize deities as beings out there. They see them as states of awakened consciousness frequencies they can embody through mantras, mudras, and deep visualization. They tune their own energy field, refining mind, body, and awareness. It's not superstition. It's spiritual technology, and you can use it too. You don't need the world to change first. You generate the emotion, you broadcast the signal, and the quantum field responds in kind. This is the architecture of conscious creation. Emotion plus intention equals manifestation. But with that power comes responsibility, because if your thoughts create, then you're manifesting either by choice or by habit. Most of us repeat unconscious scripts. I'm not enough. I never get what I want. This always happens to me. Each one is a command, and the field listens. Now, imagine what happens when you break the loop. When you hold a vision of your future and infuse it with elevated emotion, you shift into alignment with higher possibility. You stop reacting and begin orchestrating. This is not delusion. It's sovereignty, the conscious use of your mind as a sacred instrument. But here's the part most people miss. This ability doesn't live only in your thoughts. It's encoded even deeper, older, coiled at the base of your spine, dormant, silent, waiting to rise. Let's awaken it. In nearly every ancient civilization, the serpent was not a symbol of evil, but of wisdom, healing, and transformation. From the Egyptian Uraeus, coiled at the crown of the pharaoh's head, to the Nagas of the Vedic tradition, to the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl of Mesoamerica. This symbol appeared across cultures, continents, and centuries. Why? Because the serpent is more than myth. It's a metaphor for something living inside you, something coiled, intelligent, and divine. In Sanskrit, this force is called Kundalini, meaning the coiled one. It refers to a dormant energy said to reside at the base of the spine, wrapped 3.5 times around the Muladhara, or root chakra. It is the primordial energy of creation, the divine feminine power within all beings. And while modern science has no formal model for Kundalini, its effects when awakened are well documented through EEGs, MRI scans, and subjective phenomenology. People report heightened perception, spontaneous movements, emotional purging, surges of creative insight, and even physical healing. In ancient Egypt, the serpent rising was depicted through the jade pillar, a symbol of inner stability and spiritual ascension. It was said to awaken the eye of Horus, or what we now call the pineal gland. In the Vedic system, Kundalini is visualized as rising through the Sushumna Nadi, the central energetic channel of the spine, activating each chakra as it ascends toward the crown. And in Mayan tradition, the serpent twins represented the dual flow of energy up and down the spinal axis, merging at the heart, to birth divine consciousness across all systems. The pattern is consistent. The serpent rises, and the human transforms. But this is not symbolic fiction. It's an energetic event, a neurobiological, psychological, and spiritual activation that rewires the relationship between body, mind, and soul. When Kundalini awakens, it doesn't just change your thoughts. It changes the framework within which you think. Your nervous system becomes more sensitive. Your perception of time may shift. Synchronicities increase. Old traumas surface, not to destroy you, but to be released so that higher frequencies can move through you. And if this sounds dramatic, it's because it is. Kundalini is not casual energy. It's not relaxation. It's a sacred fire. And when it moves, it burns away illusion, resistance, and unconsciousness. But here's the beauty. You don't need to be a monk or a mystic to begin activating it. You simply need presence, breath, and intention. Let's begin. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to the base of your spine. Now imagine a coiled golden light resting there, warm, pulsing, alive. As you inhale, visualize this energy, slowly uncoiling. As you exhale, imagine it beginning to rise. With each breath, feel it climbing up through your sacrum, your navel, your heart. With each inhale, it becomes stronger. With each exhale, more radiant. Feel it moving through your throat, your third eye, and finally, reaching the crown of your head, blooming like a lotus, opening your awareness in every direction at once. This is more than a visualization. It's a signal, a call to your nervous system, your endocrine glands, your electromagnetic field, to awaken. You may feel tingling. You may feel warmth. You may feel waves of energy moving in unfamiliar ways. Let them move. This is your system recalibrating, not to the world's pace, but to your original blueprint. And with practice, this current becomes stronger, more stable, more intelligent. You'll begin to notice shifts. Your intuition becomes sharper. Your emotions become clearer. Your sense of separation fades, and your sense of purpose expands. Because Kundalini doesn't just rise through you, it reconstructs you from the inside out. And once it's awakened, you no longer need to search for meaning. You begin to embody it. When Kundalini begins to move, you don't just think differently, you begin to see through time, feel with your whole body, and act from soul memory. You awaken into a new state of being, one that speaks the language of the universe itself, the language of sacred geometry. Let's go there next. There is a silent language embedded in all of creation. You can't hear it with your ears. You can't decode it with words, but you can see it everywhere. In the spiral of a sunflower, in the curve of a seashell, in the branching of trees, the symmetry of crystals, even the double helix of your own DNA. This language is called sacred geometry, and it is the blueprint of the universe. It's not a metaphor. It's a system, ancient, elegant, precise, a design woven into nature itself, whispering of intelligent order. One of the most revered symbols is the flower of life, a pattern of interlocking circles that contains within it the seed of every geometric form, from the tetrahedron to the dodecahedron, from the golden spiral to the hexagon of a snowflake. All emerge from this singular structure. Ancient cultures understood this, not as an aesthetic, but as a technology. The great pyramids of Giza, the temples of Angkor Wat, the Gothic cathedrals of Europe were not designed at random. They were resonance chambers, built upon harmonic ratios that mirror the natural laws of the cosmos. The Egyptians aligned their temples with the Orion belt, not for superstition, but to entrain earthly structures with stellar frequencies. Every angle, every ratio, every stone placed was intentional, and the results, structures that have stood for millennia, resisting erosion, absorbing energy, and shifting the consciousness of anyone who enters. This isn't just about architecture, it's about accessing the field. Geometry is not passive. It emits frequency. The Sri Yantra, used in Vedic and Tantric practice, is a sacred diagram of 9 interlocking triangles representing the union of masculine and feminine, spirit and matter, time and timelessness. When meditated upon, it's said to align the practitioner's inner field with the purest source of universal order. Then there's the Phi spiral, or the golden ratio one, 618, a number that appears in galaxies, Pinecornis, DNA, hurricanes, and even the bones of your hand. It's not a coincidence. It's a code. And what about Metatron's cube, a geometric structure derived from the flower of life, containing within it all 5 platonic solids, the very shapes that form the building blocks of matter? This is not mysticism alone. It's the interface between consciousness and form. So how do you work with it? Through presence, through breath, through intention. Let's begin. Close your eyes. Visualize the flower of life, overlapping circles, infinite yet ordered. Now, breathe slowly. On the inhale, imagine drawing that geometry into your chest. On the exhale, I feel it radiate outward, expanding into your field. With each breath, allow the pattern to synchronize with your heartbeat, with your nervous system, with the subtle architecture of your awareness. This is entrainment. This is you tuning your frequency to the design beneath all things. It's not just visualization, it's harmonic alignment. The more coherent your field becomes, the more reality begins to reflect that coherence. You'll notice clearer thinking, sharper intuition, faster manifestation, less resistance, more flow. Because geometry isn't static. It's not something to admire. It's something to use as a key, as a tuning fork, as a portal. Every shape holds a frequency, and when you resonate with the right one, reality begins to shift in your favor. But what happens when you don't just recognize the code, but command it? Let's go further. Reality is not what you were taught. Beneath the world of solid forms and separate things, there exists a deeper layer, a field of pure potential, of uncollapsed energy, of infinite possibility. This is not fantasy. It's physics. Welcome to the quantum field. Unlike the material world, the quantum field isn't bound by time or space. It doesn't respond to force. It responds to frequency. It doesn't organize by hierarchy, but by resonance. And the most extraordinary part, you're not separate from it. You're part of it. Every thought, every emotion, every energetic signal you send ripples through this field and shapes how it responds to you. This is where classical thinking begins to collapse. Newton gave us a mechanical universe, a world of cause and effect, predictability and control. It served science, but it limited possibility. At the quantum level, reality behaves like a responsive mystery, not fixed, but fluid, not dictated, but co-created. Particles exist in states of probability until observed, and when you observe them, you don't just witness reality, you influence it. This is the foundation of quantum mechanics, but mystics knew it long before it was measurable. They taught that the outer world is a mirror of the inner world. That thought precedes form. That consciousness creates reality. Today, science is beginning to echo that wisdom. Every thought emits a small electrical charge. Every emotion carries a magnetic signature. Together, they create a vibrational field, your personal broadcast to the universe. And here's the key. That broadcast is what the quantum field listens to. It reflects back experiences that match your signal. The formula is simple, but profound emotion plus vibration equal manifestation. Emotion is the fuel. Vibration is the frequency. Together, they determine what becomes real. If your emotional field is full of fear, doubt, or lack, you'll collapse reality into outcomes that reinforce those patterns. But when you anchor into gratitude, joy, love, and intention, you open space for new realities to emerge. This is not about positive thinking. It's about energetic coherence. Take the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto, who photographed water crystals exposed to different words and emotions. Water infused with love and prayer formed beautiful, symmetrical geometries. Water exposed to hate fractured into chaotic forms. And your body, over 70% water. Your thoughts don't just shape your mood. They shape your molecular structure. Your aura becomes your broadcast, carving reality in invisible waves. So ask yourself, what are you rehearsing emotionally? What are you broadcasting vibrationally? You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a participant in the unfolding of your world. And the key to mastery is this: feel the future before it arrives. Envision it. Embody it. Let your nervous system believe it's already real. Let's practice. Close your eyes. Visualize something aligned with your highest path. Breathe into it. Feel the reality of it now. Let gratitude rise, not because it's on the way, but because it's already here. Hold that resonance. Because in the quantum field, the signal you emit is the experience you attract. This is not wishful thinking. It's resonance, science, and resonance doesn't lie. But here's the part most people miss. This ability doesn't live only in your thoughts. It's encoded even deeper. In your biology, in your cells, in your spiritual DNA, a sacred blueprint, buried beneath distraction, waiting to be activated. Let's awaken it now. You are not just made of flesh and bone. Beneath your biology, beneath your name and your memories, you carry something far older, far more intelligent. A spiritual blueprint, encoded into every cell, buried beneath millennia of conditioning, is a map, not to a place, but to a state of being. Ancient traditions understood this. They called it the divine spark, the inner star, or the seed of God. Today, we might call it your spiritual DNA. This is not metaphor. It is structure, geometry, vibration. And in the deepest strata of this structure lies a symbol lost to time, erased from mainstream memory, but echoed across sacred cultures. A hexagram surrounded by a spiral. You've seen it in the Star of David, in the overlapping triangles of the Sri Yantra, in the energetic flow of the caduceus, and in the Tree of Life of Kabbalah. Why does this symbol appear again and again across civilizations that never met? Because it encodes the fusion of duality, masculine and feminine, heaven and earth, spirit and matter. And more than that, it mirrors the biological spiral of your DNA and the cosmic spiral of galaxies. It is a fractal key, a divine signature, a glyph of remembrance. But here's what the ancients knew that we've forgotten. This symbol isn't just sacred, it's functional. When activated, it serves as a switch, awakening dormant frequencies inside the energy body, unlocking potentials long silenced by cultural amnesia. This is the basis of what modern pioneers now call spiritual epigenetics, the idea that your emotional and energetic environment can turn on or off the expression of genes tied to perception, intuition, and even healing. In other words, your inner geometry, when activated with emotion and intention, can literally change the expression of your biology. There are stories, ancient and modern, of individuals experiencing spontaneous insight, surges of intuition, even heightened sensory perception, after meditating on or visualizing this sacred configuration. And this isn't just mysticism. Studies in cymatics, the study of visible sound, show that sacred geometric patterns naturally emerge when harmonic frequencies vibrate through matter. The symbol is not decorative, it is directive. Let's activate it together. Close your eyes. Visualize a six-pointed star, two interlocking triangles, one pointing upward, one pointing down. See it spinning slowly in golden light, hovering just above your heart center. Now, around that star, begin to spiral light, clockwise, like a DNA helix. With each breath, feel the spiral expand. Let it wrap around you gently, precisely like a lattice of intelligent energy. Inhale, draw it into your cells. Exhale, feel it. Activate every strand of your being, not with force, but with remembrance. This is more than imagery. It's a language the body understands. It's how your ancient coding awakens. And as the spiral continues to expand, notice what arises. images, insights, warmth, release. These are not hallucinations. They are stored frequencies being reintegrated, because the symbol is a key, but what it unlocks is what you already are. This is why initiates from ancient schools guarded such patterns in temples, scrolls, and oral tradition. They knew the symbol was sacred, but they also knew it was dangerous to those who profit from forgetting. Because when enough people awaken their internal grid, the external structures of control begin to collapse. The symbol is the switch, but the true change begins when you step inside the ancient field. It was designed to open a field where every vibration, every thought, every intention is amplified. Let's enter it now. Some structures were not built to shelter bodies, but to elevate minds. They weren't made for worship in the modern sense. They were constructed as technologies, tools designed to interface the human system with cosmic order. They are the ancient temples, scattered across continents, yet mysteriously aligned, the Great Pyramid of Giza, Angkor Wat in Cambodia, Teotihuacan in Mexico, Stonehenge in England. They differ in form, but their function is the same: to awaken, calibrate, and amplify human consciousness. This wasn't spiritual metaphor. It was energetic science, deeply understood by the ancients, but forgotten by modern civilization. These temples were built upon ley lines, subtle energetic meridians of the earth. Much like the acupuncture points of the human body, these sites sit on intersections of electromagnetic flow known in esoteric tradition as the earth grid. Temples acted as nodes of amplification, pulling energy from the Earth's core and the stars above, creating a resonance field that affected not just the land, but the human mind. And within their walls, another layer of intelligence, sacred acoustics, stone chambers carved to specific proportions, resonating at frequencies that entrain the brain into altered states. The King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid, for example, amplifies tones in the range of 110, 120 Hertz frequencies associated with alpha and theta brainwaves, ideal for meditation, memory retrieval, and lucid states of awareness. These were not random numbers. They were encoded invitations to shift perception, to reset consciousness, to remember who and what we truly are. In essence, these spaces were calibration chambers, cleansing emotional residue, releasing energetic imprints, and upgrading the biofield. You didn't go to these temples to pray for miracles. You entered to become one. But here's the truth that changes everything. You don't need to physically travel across the world to access this energy. You can enter the temple within through focused inner vision, rhythmic breath, and intention. Let's begin. Close your eyes. Visualize yourself standing before an ancient stone temple. The air is still, charged. The stones hum with memory. You step inside into a chamber shaped by symmetry, built for resonance. Now, take a deep breath. As you inhale, feel the energy of the space enter you through the soles of your feet, the base of your spine, the crown of your head. Exhale and let the energy flow upward, washing through you. With each breath, you align more deeply with the structure until there is no separation between temple and being. In this moment, You become the altar. You become the instrument, and the earth itself becomes your tuning fork. This is more than visualization. It's a neurological rehearsal, a spiritual attunement, a signal to your subconscious that you are ready to reset, ready to remember. Because when you align your internal architecture with the sacred proportions of the ancient world, you activate dormant potentials and allow old patterns to fall away. The temple becomes a mirror, and in it, you see the self beneath the conditioning, not a self to fix, but a self to reclaim. And in the end, all the symbols, all the frequencies, the breath, the geometry, they've been guiding you to one singular moment, a moment of choice, a moment of remembering, a moment of commitment to yourself. Let's make that commitment together. You've come a long way. You've explored ancient codes, sacred frequencies, buried symbols, and hidden truths, not just to learn something new, but to remember something ancient. But knowledge alone is not the transformation. Commitment is. And now, a choice stands before you. You can close this video and return to your default life scrolling, surviving, forgetting. Or you can begin, not someday, today. Begin with a simple ritual. Each morning, take 5 minutes to breathe with intention. Visualize your higher self. Feel gratitude as if your future is already unfolding in divine rhythm. This is your first step into what we call the 30-day initiation, a personal journey of reattunement through meditation, stillness, geometry, and embodied reflection. To guide you, reflect on the 7 sacred teachings: humility, truth, courage, respect, wisdom, honesty, love. These aren't virtues to admire. They are frequencies to embody, and you don't have to walk this path alone. Join our growing community of awakened souls. Share your intention. Declare your commitment. Because the moment you speak your truth into the world begins to respond. The time for watching is over. The time for remembering begins now.